Hey everybody, how's it going out there? Adapa11 here with a Duel action figure review. Now we're going to go back to 2008 and to the G.I. Joe comic series line. This is around the same era and essentially the same cardboard backing as the 25th anniversary line of G.I. Joe. Now, I personally, up until recently, was unfamiliar with this character. Now, I had this character, this action figure, about 4 years ago, and decided I had to have him again. Especially his stealth mode. Now, I'm a 70s, 80s generation, and I had the G.I. Joe 3 3/4 inch, 4-inch figures back in the 80s. So, by the time this guy came out, to my recollection, I don't remember him out in the comics. So, but then again, you know, maybe he came out when I was in high school, and you know, it was just a bit past my time. I got out of the action figure phase. So, anyways, I went ahead and picked up a pair, open them up, and review them. First, let's take a look at the backing here. Now, I generally really like science fiction and action figures from the G.I. Joe line. So naturally in the 80s, growing up, Star Wars, Transformers, G.I. Joe, this goes right along with a lot of the Star Wars stuff, because this character, this Wraith character, has that armor, his look, his sculpt, everything just screams science fiction to me. So here we have the counterintelligence, codename Mercenary Wraith, file name Halifax Charles. Primary military specialty, espionage. Secondary military specialty, covert operations. Birthplace, Lyon, France. Mercenary Wraith was known for years by the G.I. Joe team and COBRA organization. Each group hoped that the skilled spy and fighter would choose to join them. In the end, Destro was the only one who discovered what Mercenary Wraith truly lived for: chaos and destruction. Mercenary Wraith doesn't care about causes or sides, right or wrong. He cares only about the next mission or battle, the next chance to cause harm. Using stolen technology, he acquired a stealth assault suit that makes him virtually invisible. He is protected from weapons fire by impenetrable ceramic plates, and is an expert marksman with the built-in forearm cannons. The only flaw in the suit is that an outline of him can be seen if he moves too fast. But by then, he is so close to his target that you only get a quick, shadowy glimpse before Mercenary Wraith makes his move. Do you ever get the feeling that someone is watching you, even when no one is in sight? That creepy feeling on the back of your neck could be telling you that I am next to you, ready to strike. Sorry, I had to go heel mode with that. Just had to get that out. Without further ado, let's look at the action figures. Okay, so here we are. Now, as you see, it's the same mold. One's transparent and the other is not. So the unique thing that I think that stands out is, of course, I really like the fact that on the left they painted the face. So when he has his faceplate up, you can actually see his face. Now both of them did I think they both have a fine paint job. Come on, focus. Work with me now. iPhone 6 or 7, whatever one this is. This is interesting. Can't get the focus. There we go. Okay, so I guess that's ironic. I was trying to focus on the transparent one, and it wouldn't work. I guess that freaking stealth technology was just kicking in. So as you can see here, they did a pretty good job with the face paint. And I think that the overall design is fantastic. Now, if you're new to my channel, let me just fill you in quickly that I like the late 70s, early 80s action figures. of 3 3/4 inch and 4 inch. So I will mix my G.I. Joes with my Transformers, with my Indiana Jones, with my Star Trek, etc., etc. So as long as they fit the genre or the storyline of the diorama at the time. Of course, these guys fit in right into outer space with, or this Wraith fits right in there with that look. So with that being said, I really like the design. Now, with that having been said, back in the 80s when I was a child playing with the original G.I. Joes, I'm not so sure I would have been so hip to this design because it doesn't look like your typical military outfitting that you would have been used to back in the early 80s. And that's what really struck me about G.I. Joe, and to tell you the honest truth, drove me away from the Kenner Star Wars, was when I first saw Outbreak and Rock and Roll and the Cannon, I forget the name of it, I just was blown away. So I can understand both camps, where maybe it just isn't so cool for G.I. Joe, and hey, I think it's a really cool looking figure. Now you can see he's got his COBRA insignia, and why I like him so much as well is because he is a mercenary, and that reminds me of bounty hunters. So I think he would look and fit the bounty hunter role. Now as you can see, he's got some shoulder spaldings, and well, unfortunately they do restrict his articulation. His lateral movement is restricted, as you see there. And he can move forward up into a certain point, so it is also restricted. And of course, with backwards movement, that is the same. But I assume it's ball joint articulation. Now, as far as the elbows is concerned, you do not want to move the elbows, and let me use old Doc here as an example. You do not want to take your arms, your forearms, and then move it like this. The reason being is that on the side, there are attachment tubes, wires, whatever, right here, as you can see, that will break. So if you take this forearm and the lower extremity, and you want to pivot it and put it at an angle, an L angle at the elbow, this will tear. I can already see stress fracture in the plastic, though I can't really see it on the camera. So, and of course this goes with both, so I'm saving time with both. So the articulation is limited, and as you can see on the elbow right here, there's even less plating for you to, there goes my boy. Okay, take 3. I'm just waiting for that door to knock. I kind of lost track as to where I was at. Anyways, with the articulation, the stress joints, or the stressing right here, could break if you try to take the forearms and move or articulate the elbows and forearms. So if we go bit, oh, I forgot the head articulation. It is ball joint articulation at the head. And at the waist, there is movement or abdominal crunch, I should say mid-thorax. There is no waist swiveling articulation. Oops. And you can take the legs, articulate them. You can do a front kick, you can do a side kick, so the articulation is really well on the legs and hips, so you get lateral movement. So it's pretty much ball joint, I guess you could call it. And he's got swivel at the knees, unfortunately, but that's just how it's done with the 25th and comic book series. And anyways, ankles are ball joint, and of course you got the action figure holes on the heels or on the feet, bottom of the feet. So, oh yeah, and then you get swiveling at the wrists. Is that all the articulation? I believe that's all the articulation there. And that, of course, is for both figures. So something else that I want to show you is the weapons. The reason why I don't have it in there is, well, because it just goes awkward, and you'd have to have his arms stiff, straight. You can't really bend it, and it's just awkward with all the cannons holding this. And of course the transparent weapon, which I think looks really super cool. Let's take a look at the actual detail of each one. As you can see here. There we go. Dig those eyes. Faceplate up. Armor on the chest. God, he's such a really nice sculpt. Cannons. Armor throughout just the legs. I just think he looks really awesome. Oh, I forgot to tell you about the backpack. Excuse me. Sorry about that. Okay, so you of course, take the peg off, and it doesn't feel brittle or anything like that. It's solid. So you see the hole. It's not shallow. And the faceplate. Here's the paint on his face. Maybe this particular one has a couple specks on it missing. Cheekbone, his right cheekbone. Now this one, here goes the transparent guy. Really nice detail. I mean, you know, I don't know why I don't have that many holographic Star Wars figures. Probably, I just don't know why, but when I take a look at these guys of the 80s Tron and how they were transparent, awesome. Or the Elite Hasbro Covenant, how he was transparent when they were in stealth mode. I totally dig it when the action figures are like that, but for some reason I just never really cared for the holographic Star Wars figures. Well, okay, so I guess that's it. I'm really just beginning to ramble. If not, it's probably this whole review's somewhat been intermittently rambling there. I kind of lost my train of thought when my boy came knocking on the door. And then the second time, and then the third. So anyways, well, I guess that just about does it, man. I think these figures are freaking fantastic. I think the sculpt, the armor, the weapons, the whole story behind him, choosing weapons, and him being a straight-up mercenary. The downside, the very limited articulation, especially for the arms. Can't do much with the shoulders. He can't really hold his weapon. I mean, it's just goofy. And even the handling on the weapons. I mean, it's just... I don't even want to risk breaking the side things. Because I've seen these on eBay where they are. So it has its ups and downs. But I'll let you decide what it's worth. Or I should say the scale. I'd give him at least an 8. You know what? I'd give him a 9.5 if I could articulate the arms. So with that being said, I'd have to give him an 8.9. Guess that's fair. Nice strong B. Can't get an A with that lack of articulation, I suppose. Unless he was something vintage. Well, anyways, there you go. Appreciate your time. And just take a look at my channel. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Thanks again. Take care, everybody. Goodbye.